Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The video will describe some general consideration regarding joints. What are the types of joint, what is unit load, and what is the structure of the joint is described in this video. The joints are made for movement and mechanical support. They can be classified as diarthroidal or solid joint and synovial joint broadly, or can be classified as solid bone joints, solid cartilage joint, and synovial joint. The solid bone joints are also termed as synarthrosis, and solid cartilaginous joint are termed as synchondrosis. And this classification is based on the manner of the type of the material in which by which the articulating bones are united. In fibrous joint, the articulating surface are united by fibrous tissue. Examples of these are cranial bone suture or syndesmosis, in which two bones are united by a sheet of fibrous tissue. Another example of syndesmosis is dento-alveolar syndesmosis. The cartilaginous joints are characterized by the formation of joint by hyaline cartilage or fibrocartilage. As we know that there are three types of cartilage. One is fibrocartilage, another is hyaline cartilage, and third one is the elastic cartilage. The main difference between the hyaline and fibrocartilage is the amount of collagen fiber which is present. So this fibrocartilage is stiff due to abundance of this collagen fiber, and the hyaline cartilage is soft cartilage due to presence of few collagen fiber. The fibrocartilage is present in symphysis pubis and menisci, while the hyaline cartilage is seen in trachea, nasal septum, and the long bones. The cartilaginous joint are primary or secondary. Bones are united by hyaline cartilage, which is example of primary cartilaginous joint. You know that the epiphysis is the place or is the point where the metaphysis and diaphysis are united together. Examples of secondary cartilaginous joint is intervertebral joint, in which there is fibrocartilage, cartilaginous intervertebral disc between the vertebrae, and it consists of binding connective tissue that joins the vertebrae together. The third and last category of joint is synovial joint, and these synovial joint, in these the articulating bones are united by a joint capsule. However, the inner side is lined by synovium. This capsule encircles the joint cavity completely, and inside the cavity the articulating surfaces are covered by articular cartilage. All other surfaces inside the joint cavity is lined by synovial cell. The cavity contains synovial fluid. The synovial capsule is thick, fibrous, and smooth, but it is thrown into many folds at the site of its insertion. It is lined by cells without any basement membrane, and this lack of basement membrane allows easy permeability of the nutrients, and under these synoviocytes the tissue is loose, areolar, and you can see that there are two types of this cell in these synovial lining, which are 1 to 4 layers thick, and one is type A and another is type B. The type A cells are specialized macrophages with lysosomal enzymes and dense bodies, while type B are fibroblast-like cells and they synthesize hyaluronic acid. The synovial fluid provide lubrication, nutrition, and they also ingest debris, and they secrete hyaluronic acid, immunoglobulin, and lysosomal enzymes in that environment. The synovial fluid is the fluid which is present within the synovial cavity or joint cavity. It is clear, sticky, and viscous fluid which is present in very little amount within the cavity. It is 1 to 4 ml in quantity, and it is actually the ultrafiltrate that act as a molecular sieve, and there is no tissue thromboplastin, so it cannot clot. It contains hyaluronic acid, which is a very large molecule, and because it is highly charged, it has got a high affinity with the water. The articular hyaline cartilage is glistening, smooth, white, and semi-rigid. It is not thicker more than 6 millimeter only, and it basically serves as elastic shock absorber and wear and tear resistant surface. It is composed of 10% of collagen type 2, while 70% of it contains water. 8% of the articular cartilage contain uh, proteoglycans, and also chondrocytes are also there. The collagen type 2 resist tensile stresses and transmit vertical load, while the proteoglycans are responsible for turgor and elasticity, limiting fraction. Then chondrocytes synthesized by uh, these chondrocytes, they are responsible for synthesis of matrix and also responsible for enzymic digestion of various proteins. And very important to note that there is no innervation, no blood supply, or no lymphatic drainage for this area, that is hyaline cartilage. Articular cartilage is smooth grossly, while on electron microscopy it shows pits with these pits correspond to the underlying lacunae of the chondrocytes. There are four zones in the articular cartilage. First is the tangential zone, the uppermost, and it is closest to the articular surface. It is tangential zone, and or it is also termed as gliding zone, because the joint surfaces glides on each other. Then the chondrocytes in this area are elongated, flattened, and parallel to the long axis of the surface, and there is condensation of the type 2 collagen fiber. Hence it is also termed as skin of the articular cartilage. Then there is a second zone, and this second zone is underneath the cartilage, underneath this tangential or gliding zone. And in this transitional zone, the chondrocytes are larger or ovoid, and these are randomly distributed. Uh, the standard hyaline cartilage, hyaline matrix uh, is here, and on electron microscopy, the collagen fibers are arranged uh, transverse to the articular surface. So the first zone was tangential zone or gliding zone. The second one was this transitional zone, and the third one is termed as the radial zone. This radial zone, here the chondrocytes are small and they are arranged in short column just like epiphyseal plate. The collagen fiber here are large and lie perpendicular to the articular surface. Next is the calcified zone. Here in this calcified zone, this is the deepest layer, and here the chondrocytes are small and heavily calcified matrix is present in this layer. Then there is a concept of tide mark. This tide mark is basically a blue line. It is a blue line that is seen on H&E staining slide, and it is a mark of separation between the calcified and radial zone. This tide mark is the interface, and it is interface between the mineralized and unmineralized cartilage. The area above this tide mark, it gets its blood supply from the process of diffusion, while the area below this blue line or tide mark gets the nutrition by the epiphyseal blood vessel. And this is the area in which where the cartilage cells are renewed. They are renewed continuously. Underneath this, there is subchondral bone plate, that is transverse bony plate, and it is directly contiguous with the coarse cancellous bone of the epiphysis. This is the articular hyaline cartilage. Here you can see that in the tangential zone and in the radial zone, there is highest concentration of the collagen that appear bright yellow. Regarding joint pathology, unit load is an important concept in understanding function of the joint. It is basically a compressive force which is expressed as kilogram per cubic centimeter of articular cartilage. It is fairly constant over hip, knee and ankle, and about 20 to 26 kilogram per cubic centimeter. Joint is protected by various mechanisms. One is the adjacent muscle, which act as shock absorber and protect the joint. If there is increased unit load on a joint, the joint deforms. So if this deformity results in increased contact area of the joint, and this increased contact area will obviously reduce the unit load on the joint, then intra-articular structures such as ligaments and menisci also allow to plane movement, and they reduce the unit load on the joint. Ligaments, tendon, particularly connective tissue and nerves, all these are important protective mechanisms of the joint which decrease the unit load or which control the unit load. What happens if there is an injury to any component of the joint? It will result in dysfunction of the joint, and dysfunction of this joint will result in degeneration of the other component of the joint, as happens in anterior cruciate ligament. If torn in an athlete, it will result in joint instability, and this instability of the joint will result in degeneration of the articular cartilage. Thank you for your attention.